are just joining us, this is we redid some slides a little bit based on what we found in some of our experience in this area of technology partner programs, and that's what we want to go through today. I think one of the key things I'll start out with is that this is a benefit for basic and premium members can do this. It's all included in your membership, and it's one of the things I would say probably over the last 5 years that we have really seen a tick up on people taking advantage of this program that's available, or this benefit that's available to you as a member of TSANet. So, and we also want to talk about how this has morphed a little bit. And as everybody's aware, and I mention on every webinar that we do, you know, this is your organization. So we take your input, your feedback. We just had a focus group last week out in California where we got input from a lot of members, and we try to make sure that we're providing the best value that we can for your membership dollar and what you get out of TSANet. So we're going to focus in on this technology partner programs that a lot of companies are taking advantage of, and that also has morphed itself into this solution support. And Paul is on board because he's done a lot of work in that area to get it to where it's at. So he'll kind of talk about that a little bit. I want to give you an overview of the custom group thing, just so everybody's on the same page. I think a lot of you have an idea or a concept behind this. I want you to understand a little bit more detail behind that. And then one of the things that we did was we wanted to give you some examples of what some companies have done. That always seems to resonate with our members, to be able to say, oh, okay, that's what VMware is doing, or that's what NetApp is doing, that kind of thing. And I can see how that would relate to my company. I will say, and I'll probably reiterate this a couple of times, that when we get into this custom group area, we need to differentiate ourselves from the open groups, and we got a slide to talk about that. Typically, custom groups are confidential. There's a lot of custom groups where they've already said, yeah, I don't have a problem. In fact, I'd like you to promote it. So we'll do that. But I want you to know on the onset, if you create a custom group, that unless you tell us that we keep that confidential. And then we got a Q&A period to get into on the back end of this as well. So again, I think high level, you know, this is sort of an overview of your technology partner programs. You guys probably know this better than anybody, that it's part of your product strategy. And certainly, as you've seen in the industry, the same thing that we have seen is that we're seeing a lot more of working with partners on a collaborative effort to develop not only, you know, the products, but the solution that the customers are looking for. And when you get into that kind of thing, and you've got multiple vendors or companies that are working with each other, you need a high level of collaboration. And that's what we've done within TSANet. I will also say that what we've also seen from our members that are utilizing this is that one of the advantages that they have is they go, hey, this is a vendor neutral industry platform, right? Not-for-profit organization. This is not me telling you this is the way that you need to collaborate. We're going to use this industry neutral platform to be able to do that. And that has been quite successful in being able to put these things together. So we're going to walk through some examples. FlexPod is one where it's more of a solution support type environment. I will talk about VMware. That's been one of our first companies that have introduced this custom group concept, and they've got we've got some examples on how they're going to do it, as well as Microsoft, as well, and some other companies that we'll talk about that. So I want to give you some examples. Again, I'll give you one example that I know that we're going to get into that we don't talk about the companies that are involved in it, because it's one of those confidential relationships. So, and Paul, if I'm missing something, you go ahead and chime in on any of these, okay? So as far as the overview of custom group, right, this is what we've seen, right? And they have a tendency to fall into these two categories, and that's what we're trying to present to you here. Is it comes into more of a solution support type environment, where maybe you want a many-to-many relationship, or it could be in the partner area. From the host perspective, it's a one-to-many, and from the partner's perspective, it's a one-to-one relationship. The reason that we bring this up is because you can do both. And I think one of the other key issues to differentiate between the open groups of basic and premium and the custom groups is you're defining the host or the hosts participants are defining the relationship. And TSANet has a tendency to get stereotyped into, oh, you must have a mutual customer. That is, in fact, the case in the basic and the premium TSANet, and even a lot of custom groups. But that's not necessarily the case for a custom group that you might create. We've got a lot of custom groups where there is no mutual customer, or the mutual customer is already predefined. So if you get some pushback from somebody, you want to create a custom group and they go, oh, we can't use TSANet, this doesn't involve a mutual customer. That's fine. There's a lot of custom groups that are like that. This differentiates itself from the basic or the premium TSANet. Okay, so there's basically these, it's kind of morphed into these two areas where it can be a many-to-many, where you've got a high level of collaboration, or it can be in a partner program environment where it's a hosted group, and from the host perspective, a one-to-many, and from the partner's perspective, a simple one-to-one. Okay, as far as the features of these custom groups, I kind of talked about a lot of that, right? Has a tendency to fall into these areas. We do a lot of co-branding, and that has also helped in this industry neutral environment, right? Where you can say, hey, this is not something that we're pushing on you. We're using an industry neutral environment for us to use this program so that we'll be able to collaborate with each other. We have really worked on this over the last couple of years within the member web operational framework of this to create microsites behind this. And we'll talk a little bit about that, where you can put in knowledge articles, or you can put in training articles. You can even really get granular in who can respond to those and who's notified, as well as you can say people can't see these and all that. So there's a lot of different things that we can do in that, extending virtual labs to your partners. What we're basically trying to do is create that environment where everybody can operate within this framework, whether it be solution support or within this partner program. And if they want to add value into it, they can certainly do that. Okay. This is an example of some of that co-branding that we do. There's a couple of different areas here that we'll talk about. One of them is in a partner program environment like VMware has, where you've got hundreds of partners that are coming into a partner program, and you want to create that support collaboration mechanism. Then what we will actually do is work with you on not only the co-branding, the verbiage that goes out to your partners, but also we'll create a landing page for you. And within that landing page, what happens is you can direct your partners to that, and this will actually walk them through becoming a member of TSANet and coming into your specific partner program. So they'll fill out that process that you as the host will use to collaborate with a partner, and obviously they're going to see the mechanism for as a partner to be able to see the hosts and how they would collaborate with them. So we do a lot of here. We've actually even done some videos in certain cases, but this will give you an example of what we do from a landing page perspective. And then in the co-branding area, we work with your teams to go in and do that, so everybody understands from a partner perspective, oh yeah, I get this. This is TSANet. This is how I come into it. This is what TSANet provides in this, is we're providing that direct collaboration path with a partner. Here's the other piece that we do, and I think this is important to understand, because if you're a partner manager or you're working with this, it becomes quite a task for you, one, to be able to make sure that you can get your partners onboarded. We have heard from a lot of partners that the value that this brings from the support environment is, okay, well, I've gone through working with my partners on the development environment. We're done with that. Now that product is actually out there in the field and we've got customers that are using it. But did we go to that next step of making sure that we've got the support mechanism in place, that when that customer has an issue, that we've got a way to work with them? Because we're not working with them in the development environment anymore. Now we're working with them in the support environment. So one, that's important for you to have that mechanism in place. And then what we do is we will work with you to onboard those partners. And we've got quite a bit of experience in this now, where we'll take an alliance team partner manager, or perhaps several people within that alliance team and work with them, creating a spreadsheet or something like that that we can share with them to say, this is exactly where we stand with that company. They've onboarded, we're done with them. This is my contact that I have in TSANet, or this is your contact that you have from a technology partner perspective. So we need to make sure that those people get tied up with each other so everybody understands what's going on here. We will work with you to do that. That's part of everything that we do, is coordinate with your partner manager. I have several times that we have set up bi-weekly or even weekly conference calls with partner managers to go through and verify, yeah, this is where we stand with this company, or we're getting ready to onboard these set of members. Are you ready to do that? Are we making sure the right verbiage is going out, et cetera, all that kind of stuff. Getting them on board is one piece of it, and that can alleviate a lot of problems on your end, because that can be very time consuming to set this up from your perspective. And if you can push that over to TSANet and we're doing it, I think there's a huge value in that. And then in addition to that, it's the ongoing partner piece of this, right? So it's, does somebody change? Do they understand what this is all about? All that kind of thing we do on an annual basis to make sure that we're renewing those partners, making sure that if a new partner manager or a new support person comes on board, they understand what TSANet is and how it's used. So we'll implement those changes. We've done it. As your partner program evolves, we'll evolve with you. And we've done that with several partners. Okay, again, this is going back into the microsite a little bit to tell you what we can do here. Not all companies take advantage of this. I wish there were more companies that did that. But again, this is something that we work with you to try to provide additional benefit, and we can get very granular about how this works within the microsite, who sees what, who can respond to what. Those companies that are using it, I think, have used it very well, and it's been very advantageous. So again, if you're looking for something, hey, I need to be able to post some information out there that all of my partners can see about some upcoming training, we can not only set that up within the microsite, but we can notify your partners about that. Same thing with the knowledge articles. And these are customizable, so it doesn't have to be knowledge or training. You can actually go in there and change those tabs to be whatever it wants to be. And the virtual lab environment as well. We can set that up. Anything I missed on this, Paul? Is there?
Yeah. I would say the other thing is that you don't necessarily need to put the document here. We also do support hyperlinks, right? So if you've got a training site already in place, you can simply direct the user to that as well. So it can be shortcuts in addition to documents.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so again, I'd like to see more people use this. Those that are using it seem to really like it. In fact, it was the partners that said, come up with this because this is what we want to do with it. So it's like everything, that's where we come up with this stuff. So this is an example of a solution support framework, right? The challenge that we had with this, and we can talk about this, and this came in through NetApp, this is the FlexPod solution, was you've got an environment out there where you've got multiple vendors and resellers that are involved in this solution. And you need to create a very high level of streamlined collaboration within those partners. So it needs to not be just a one-to-one relationship or multiple one-to-ones. It needs to be a many-to-many, just like the basic or the premium TSANet, but specific to this particular solution. So what we've done is we've come in and created this solution support framework where the companies are by invitation only, like any custom group. And we've created a very high level of collaboration and gotten even very granular on how that collaboration occurs. And if you're familiar with the TSANet member web at all, you know that you create this contact document of how that process occurs. We got very granular with this solution to saying, if this particular vendor comes on board, this is what they're going to see. And if this particular reseller comes in and needs to collaborate and engage another partner, this is what they're going to see. So you can provide different paths on how you're going to do it. But again, we created this I'll call it a custom group many-to-many solution. And it's got this backline process where the experience it can be very different for one partner versus another. Anything you want to elaborate on this in the FlexPod thing, Paul?
No, I think you covered it pretty good. And again, kind of the goal here on solution support is to set up an environment that matches how you're selling and marketing the product. So if you're, in this case, selling it as a, purchase it as a bundled solution, they want to be able to message that support is provided in that method as well.
And I'll say the other piece of this that Paul and I have gone through and talked about quite a bit, right, is that I think one of the challenges you run into, oh, well, this can't be done through TSANet. This is an example of how it can be done through TSANet. Okay, here's another one. This is one that we didn't talk about the partners, but I think this is also one where it kind of goes away from what a lot of people would think TSANet is, right? And the challenge of creating a backline support process with one strategic partner, right? And interfacing in those systems. So it's a one-to-one relationship between two particular partners, but it doesn't, the customer is predefined, et cetera, all that kind of thing. And I think one of the key things that we did within this relationship is where we used the member web to start out with it, now we've actually deployed Case Exchange. Right, and where we didn't get into a lot of detail about Case Exchange is the ability for you to be able to electronically submit tickets to the other partner and for them to be able to respond back. And even we have connectors for Salesforce and things like that. And you can also use the member web, so you don't have to have one of those connectors. This is where we implemented that, working very, very well with that, right? And this can go on beyond into your traditional software back and forth, but can also be if you get into a hardware swap, right? Or you're in a repair environment where you're doing field operations and you need to be able to track that stuff. We can work with you on the implementation of Case Exchange into an environment that perhaps is even customized to your particular CRM system. That would be something that falls into Paul's area, so I'll put him on the spot here. But we can get you in touch. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I would say we're starting to see this more and more. We've got a couple of these set up already, and I would say it's definitely very common in the area where there's a software vendor, and for example, they want to sell appliances, so they form some relationships with some key strategic hardware vendors, and they, again, kind of package and sell the co-branded appliance to the marketplace, and then they want to be the front line of support, but they want a backline hardware swap and field service, all those types of things with the hardware vendor or vendors they work with. So I'd say this is very common if you've got a product that's kind of an appliance and you're working with some partners to produce that. This is definitely an area where TSANet can help. And I think, as Dennis indicated, I think a lot of people at first would say, well, that's out of scope of TSANet, and definitely with the new solution support offering, it's well within scope of what we do here at TSANet.
Yep. Another example, VMware, and I mentioned this is one that it started a long time ago. There's actually hundreds of partners that are part of this. And this is one of those where we hear time and time again, well, the development piece of this is done. Now we need to work with, I don't have a relationship with this company unless I have some kind of support relationship with them. So what they've done within their Technology Alliance Partner Program at VMware is that they have selected a group of partners that they actually really require them to be part of the TSANet VMware relationship. So we work with them to onboard that company to come into scope where we're working with VMware to make sure that we're onboarding those partners, providing that method for bi-directional communication within the support departments. And one thing that we brought up here that I think is worthwhile that we ran into initially with programs like this was that when you're onboarding, into the hundreds of partners, it can get into an issue where they have to pay for their member dues. The member, and we'll talk about what the dues are and all that stuff. It's a nominal fee, but still sometimes going through that accounting process can be a real slowdown in getting your partners onboarded. So what we did was we developed a program to where you can sponsor those members and even come in at a reduced fee. That loosens the administration burden on our end. We don't have to get into the accounting piece of it so much. We can just onboard that partner, and the host is going to pay for that down the road. So we've done that quite successfully with several partners. It's not for everybody. It doesn't have to be that way. But I wanted to bring it up because that's an example of what we've done within the VMware environment. Same thing, very similar within EMC, right? I think the difference here that we wanted to talk about is some of the different co-branding that we did with EMC, where we did some videos. We did spent quite a bit of time working in the marketing area on how we were going to co-brand this and bring it out to the partners within the EMC Tech Connect environment. This has been another high volume, very well connected partner program. Again, hundreds of companies that are part of this and been quite successful. So again, without getting into too much detail, it's very similar in VMware, and a lot of these are the same way, right? One to many, many to many, but they're all a little bit different. So we do that. Okay, need to create a group. If you're a basic or a premium member, what you got to do is get a hold of us, and we will work with you to do that. We want to understand what the scope of it is. If you want to pull that partner manager in so that they understand what TSANet is and how it can benefit them, then we can go in and show you how we do the registration, show you how we do the co-branding and the microsite, talk about some of the different materials that you can use outside or within the scope of TSANet, but where TSANet isn't pushing it out, but you are, that talks about the value of TSANet and why you're coming through this and using TSANet to be able to collaborate with a partner. And then we take it from there, and we'll go ahead and set up that co-branding. We've done this multiple times, set up the registration, the landing pages, and again, work with your partner managers to bring everybody on board. So it's really as simple as getting a hold of Paul and myself. The pricing, if you're an open group member, meaning you're in basic or a premium member, you can join any custom group, but not only that, you can create any custom group. It's all part of your package. There is no additional fees involved in that. Now, how you bring your partners on board, obviously, if they're already open group members in the basic or the premium TSANet, then there's no fee to them either. But if they're not an existing member, then there's going to be a fee involved. If you're not going to pay for it as the host, then it's $500 per year per partner for each relationship. If you elect to pay for that, then it gets into this sliding scale thing. And again, because we don't have the administration burden of going through the accounting process, we start that at $250 per year per partner, and we start the clock when you start your partner program, and we don't even charge you for that till it's a year into it. And then we do a snapshot of it, depending on how many partners you have, is what we're going to bill you at. It goes all the way down to $50 a month, depending on how many partners you bring on board. So this can be very cost effective, again, for you to set up a partner program, whether you pay for it or if the partner pays for it. Paul, what did I miss? Anything you wanted to add? Did I?
No, I think he covered it really well. I think probably the only kind of closing comment I would make is, clearly we've got some good examples here, and we've done certain things over and over, like the partner programs and now the solution support. But just in general, if you're doing something with a partner, you should view that as within scope with TSANet, right? Obviously, if it's on the support side. So if you feel like you're doing something that's outside of scope of TSANet, I think it's still worthwhile to have a conversation with myself or Dennis, because more than likely it is, right? And custom groups are just that, right? We can modify the process to kind of fit what you need.
Yeah, and Stephanie will be sending out this a link to this video. We did get a question in here about the presentation. Absolutely, we're going to make it available to you. We'll make the video available to you. It'll be up on the website, and that'll be coming in from Stephanie, because we think if you can, and we can help you, again, if it's a partner manager and you want to, hey, present this thing called TSANet, and they're like, what are you talking about? Or maybe I've heard that, but I don't get that, or whatever. Let us help you. That's what we're here to do. I don't think there's anything else, and we've actually run up on time here, so we're we're going to end this thing, and appreciate everybody coming on board. Again, Dennis at TSANet, Paul at TSANet. Let us know if you've got any questions, and we appreciate your attendance this morning. Anything closing, Paul, you got?
No, that does it. Have a
All
great
right,
day.
guys. Thanks, everybody.